This is Andy Paroff, Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by manager, trainer, and today promoter, Joe Gallagher. Joe, how you doing?
I'm alright, a bit like Wurzel Gummidge, I've put my promoter's head on today, mate.
How did you find it being on the top table, promoting a show instead of being a trainer?
Yeah, no, it's different. Like I said, Hearn's got some banter, hasn't he? Some patter. So, no, it was great. It was great to see Osh there today, excited for his pro debut. Ben and Mark getting ready for the first title fights, and obviously Sam Hyde, he's bristling for Sunday. So, yeah, no, it was good. It was a good turnout, and thank everyone for coming.
Come on to the show in just a second. But what is it like as a promoter now? How do you find the different challenges that being a promoter possesses in comparison to a trainer and a manager?
Yeah, no, like you say, promoting, you've got to go out there, promote the event. Yeah, it's different, but I'm enjoying it. I'm liking it, and I just feel that there's room for another promotional company in Manchester, and to give kids an opportunity, because we're always waiting for the big boys, your Eddie Hearns, your Frank Warrens, your McKennettys to come into Manchester, and then there's a clamour to get on the undercard. So in the meantime, like you say, this weekend, top of the bill, Sam Hyde, Hyde-Jumah, that's a real 50-50 fight, and other kids making the debuts and that, so Marcus Morrison ticking over, so they need to be keeping active and regular and often, waiting for the phone to ring for the big fights. They've got to be ready. Which
is more stressful out of the three, promoter, manager or trainer? Which do you find more stressful?
Training 100%.
On to the show now, Joe. Obviously you mentioned that headline fight, Sam Hyde, Hyde-Jumah, English cruiserweight title fight, as well as a British final eliminator title fight. Hyde-Jumah not turning up today. Firstly, what was your thoughts and reaction to when you found out he wasn't going to be here?
Yeah, I was disappointed, really. I'd understand if it was Hyde-Jumah on a bill in an 8-rounder, but when you're talking about, as you see by social media, what everyone's talking about, it's a real pick and fight this weekend. It's hotly anticipated. It's as you said there, a British title final eliminator. It's a defence of Dion's English cruiserweight title, and both of them have got a point to prove. And I know it's not a Sky show. I know it's not an Eddie Hearn show, and it's not a non-TV show. It's a non-TV show, so I understand them not wanting to come up. But the team around him with Gary Logan and stuff like that, I'm sure I thought they'd do the right thing and come up on the train today, do the media obligations and get back home. But like I say, all that matters as long as they turn up on Saturday for the weigh-in and the fight on Sunday, and like you say, it just adds that little bit more of an edge to the show.
With what's at stake, not just the English title, but the fact it's a final eliminator for that British title, how much pressure is there on Sam on the back of his defeat to Richard Riakporhe? He's obviously had to rebuild. If things weren't to go to plan on Sunday, where would it leave him? How much pressure is there on him to make sure that isn't the case?
I don't think there is no pressure on Sam Hyde. He's enjoyed training very well. His performance has done very well. I think all the pressure's on Hyde-Jumah. He's a kid that's round London. He's shouting out your Okolis. He's shouting out your Riakporhes. He's the English cruiserweight champion. He feels he's just got to come up here, take care of business and go back home. I think all the pressure is him. But I think you look at Sam Hyde, and when he has stepped up his level to Riakporhe, who is now the British champion, Sam acquitted himself very well. He was ahead on all the scorecards at the time of the stoppage with his eye, his hematoma. So he acquitted himself very well. It's a huge opportunity for this Sam, and obviously he's going into it as the underdog, which I agree with, and he's like relishing going in there, wanting to upset the odds and show everyone that he deserves that rematch with Richard Riakporhe.
So what have you guys been preparing for come Sunday? What exactly should we expect when Sam and Dion are in the centre of the ring?
Yeah, no, listen, both Sam and Dion were quality amateurs. They've both got good amateur pedigree. As you've seen, Hyde-Jumah's fight against Camacho, he's had some power to his shots now. And he comes with a good training team behind him. Gary Logan, a good trainer, knows his stuff. So it's going to be a good fight. I think the two of them have got the power to take each other out with one shot. But I do think it's got to be a technically good fight. And I think that the best man will win. It's one of them. It's a pick and fight, even without me having me Sam Hyde manager trainer head on fight. It is a pick and fight. The favourite is Hyde-Jumah in the fact of his ability and what he's done as an amateur. But Sam's the underdog, but a very live underdog, and he was against Riakporhe and nearly upset the apple cart that night, and he'll be looking to do it on Sunday afternoon.
Obviously, if he's successful, he does open up that fight with Richard Riakporhe. But we've seen it in the past, people come in for eliminators, but then the coming fight doesn't happen against the title holder. Do you think it is likely we will see a rematch, or do you think Richard may go down other avenues, or Sam may even go down other avenues?
Well, I think Sam wins. I'm not looking over Hearn-Jumah. I think Richard Riakporhe is a nice kid. I've seen him spoke. He's doing well. He's doing very well. But I think he just needs to do the right thing. And obviously, at the time when the fight was stopped, Eddie, everyone promised there'd be a rematch. It hasn't happened. We've chased it. I've chased Dylan White, chased Eddie Hearn, Ed Robinson, Sky, and for whatever reason, they don't want to fight Sam Hyde again. So obviously, we're going to try and force that situation, become the mandatory, and do the right thing. And if Richard Riakporhe is as good as what he says he is, and that win over Sam Hyde, he wasn't winning on the scorecard, he won by default. He just wants to do the right thing and take care of business. It's a good domestic fight. It's one that everyone would like to see again. And for Richard Riakporhe, I think he's got unfinished business to do. So we've got business to take care of first. But it'd be a shame if Sam wins and then Riakporhe gives up the British, because it looks like then Richard Riakporhe is running away from Sam Hyde.
To move through the rest of the card on Sunday, Mark Jeffers and Ben Thomas for the Central Area title. Talk to me about that one, Joe.
Yeah, no, good fight. Mark Jeffers now, I think he's 10-0, 11-0, coming along well with Mike Jennings. Exciting prospect, just been over in Dublin sparring Spike O'Sullivan. Then you've got Ben Thomas, who was a good amateur, lost his first fight, but he's undefeated in his last 5 now. Bit of a local derby. Training's gone well. Ben's got his weight down. And as you've seen today at the press conference, both of them fancy the win, and it's good to get the Central Area title. It's their first title fight for the pair of them, and getting them title conditions and that experience, and even doing this today, the press conference, and doing one-on-ones. You can see it's good for them and the learning and development of each of them. But that's got to be an exciting fight, that, on Sunday afternoon as well.
Conor Lynch returning to another M22 promotion show. What should we expect from him on Sunday?
Listen, Conor, who was in a belting fight last time he was here as well, isn't it? Exciting fighter, buzzsaw style. Like you say, he's 5-0, undefeated. Next fight here this Sunday, and I'm sure Kieran's trained him well. He's got to come in shape and want to move on, and most probably by the end of the year looking at fighting for, like, a stablemate Ben Thomas there for Central Area titles.
And Osh Williams making his pro debut. Someone who's had some sparring with Anthony Crolla, who I found out today. Just talk to me about how Osh has kind of held his own in that sparring and what we should expect from him come Sunday. Yeah,
no, really pleased today. When you said to me before about a promoter, but to see a kid making his professional debut, see him sat at the end of the table, so excited, doing loads of tickets, knowing everyone's got to come and support him, that's great. I've had him in the gym in the past. He's done some work with Anthony Crolla sparring, acquitted himself very well. Decent amateur, and he's looking to turn over to the pros now, and like you say, he's fighting on this show. Had a little bit of a media attention today, and I said to him he needs to go out there, enjoy himself and show everyone what he can do, and he's a welcome addition to the professional team.
And finally, someone who's, without any knowledge of himself, has caused you issues trying to find him an opponent, Marcus Morrison. Talk to me about the problems you've had in trying to find an opponent for Sunday.
Yeah, Marcus, like I say, he had a great year last year, winning the European WBC silver title on the road in Italy. Come back, fought here in September, October, had a first round knockout, and his form's bubbling. It was very important to get him out at the beginning of 2020 now. We did try to make the WBC international belt. We put forward numerous opponents. WBC knocked them back, and the opponents they were agreeing on, they could have doubled up as world title eliminators, the level of opponents they wanted, and we're in that position at the moment. So at the moment now, Marcus has got to get out. Obviously, he's got to get out here, fight, win, and then we're looking at most probably fighting a Felix Cash, most probably for the Commonwealth title. There's also the options of the British title. We'll see what Liam Williams does with that. But it's a huge year 2020 now. Marcus has had 26 fights, and he's looking to push on this year. This has got to be his year this year. And the thing with Marcus, nobody really wants to fight Marcus because he can punch, he can whack, and if you've got to fight Marcus Morrison, you've got to get paid well for it. So being a non-TV show, unless we Adam Smith and Ed Robinson want to come on board and give us a bit of Sky money, we'll see. But like you say, the main thing is that he's out, he's fighting, and ready then for anything that should come in the big shows of March.
I know you mentioned British and Commonwealth titles down the line for Marcus, but with him holding a version of a WBC title, is that kind of another route you guys are considering? You guys want to go down the WBC route, or?
Yeah, definitely. We want to fight for that WBC international title, and maybe we can bring a decent opponent over for Marcus to fight for that. Yeah, there's lots of options for Marcus this year. It's exciting, can whack. And that middleweight division now, when you look at it with the likes of Marcus and Fitzgerald and Fowler and Cullen and Cash, and yeah, it's an exciting division.
You mentioned Felix Cash there as well, someone who you mentioned to me a bit earlier. You had a little discussion with Eddie Hearn about a possible fight. Something we could expect to see?
Yeah, no, it's a good fight. Obviously, Felix Cash was involved in a great fight with Jack Cullen. That was a right ding-dong of a fight, and a lot of boxes were ticked there that people had question marks over Felix Cash, so his fight with Marcus Morrison would be a good fight and an exciting fight.
Just a couple of things I was trying to get your thoughts on. Obviously, I know we caught up earlier last week, but just to get your thoughts on a few things that have gone on this week. Start off with this past weekend, Hearn stepping up to middleweight, making his first fight there, defeating Spike O'Sullivan, stopping him in the 11th round off the top of my head. What was your thoughts on Hearn's step up?
Yeah, listen, he's a class operator, being in there with him with Liam Smith, and he's only young as well. He's getting bigger, he's getting better. The vulnerabilities, I think he'll reach to a level where, yeah, he is world class, but he's not super world class. There's a different level when you're talking super world class. That's like your Pacquiao, your Mayweathers, your Canelos. I don't think he'll reach them heights, but he's a very good world champion. You
mentioned before, you'd love to have had Liam Smith face him again, obviously when he was at 154. Any possibilities down the line Liam may move up to 160 or might be able to have some type of fight there with Hearn?
Yeah, I'm sure if you offered Liam Smith that rematch at 160, Liam will snap your hands off it, or at 154. But now he's moved up to 160. Yeah, Liam would take the hands off it. Liam, problem for that fight was he was saying it was his inactivity compared to Mungai, who had so many 12-round fights 12 months before it. So he's on a bit of a roll now, Liam Smith. 3 fights last year, 3 good wins, rounds under his belt, and momentum's good with him. And if we can get the WBO world champion Teixeira, I think how you pronounce it, that'll be a big fight. But there's huge fights for Liam this year, but a world title fight of some sorts is what we want.
And finally, something we spoke about in depth on last Wednesday or whenever it was, Callum Smith. Obviously, a lot of talk about the Canelo fight, Billy Joe Saunders' name in the mix. You said that you spoke to Eddie Reynoso out in America last year, back end of last year, and you had very positive discussions, and Eddie Reynoso said he wanted Callum Smith for Canelo and he'd go back to the table and offer it to him, etc. Since then, this week, a lot of news coming out about Billy Joe Saunders might get the fight instead. What's your thoughts to all the news breaking about that fight?
Listen, if Billy Joe gets it, fair play to him. It'll be a good fight. Spoke to Eddie Hearn, was it yesterday morning? He said, I don't know where all the rumours are coming from because he's had no negotiations, no talks whatsoever. So unless the negotiations have gone on with Billy Joe's management team and Eddie Reynoso, then I'm only hearing what Eddie Hearn has turned around and said. So it's, like I say, we'll just have to wait and see. And it's like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, we're waiting for that golden ticket, aren't we? So whether it be in Vegas or Mexico, but as I said last week, just to reiterate, Eddie Reynoso said to me his preferred opponent would be Callum Smith. He'd go back, tell Canelo that, and put it forward. So we'll just have to wait and see. And if it isn't Callum and it's Billy Joe, then fair play to him and good luck. We wish him all the best, him and Ben Davidson.
Have you reached out to Eddie Reynoso, or are you tempted to have a catch up with him, just kind of find out what his thoughts are and what's going on?
No, I haven't really. Obviously, it's the festive period, holiday period. He was quite adamant that it was Callum. We did mention other opponents, but Callum was his preferred choice, and that's it. Shook hands. I don't want to be phoning them either, and they've got to make the decisions, and we have to live by whatever they choose at the end of the day. So if Callum gets it, brilliant. Eddie Hearn said to me he's got a pitch, Billy and Callum the same. So we'll see what happens. But like you say, it's good for British boxing. That either or of them will be in that opposing corner in May, and it'll be good.
Obviously, before Callum's fight with John Ryder last year, there was a lot of discussions about where his long-term future would lie, whether he'd stay with Matchroom in the UK, whether he might move to America under another promotional banner, etc. If, say, Callum wasn't to get the Canelo fight, where does it leave him on the back of that, especially if he was to see a fellow stablemate in Billy Joe Saunders under the Matchroom banner get that fight instead?
Yeah, I think good point. It's end of last year, the talk was Billy Joe Callum at Anfield next year. There's a contract or something for another. So if Billy Joe gets that, that'll rule out the Callum Anfield gig. Your Benavides Plants, they're not going to fight Callum Smith. They're, as you see with the Spence and Crawford situation there on the other side of the street. So you most probably like to see Benavidez plant unification at some point this year. So that leaves Callum then with what to do. So whether we move up to 175, try and get Gilberto Ramirez, try and challenge for them belts up there at BTBF. We fight, defend against a Chavez or Jacobs, or we do the rematch with John Ryder. So yeah, we'll have to sit down and wait. But like I say, we're all waiting on Canelo, Golden Boy, DAZN, Eddie Reynoso. So we're all waiting on them. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, there's some decisions to be made coming up now in the next few weeks.
You've just mentioned that rematch with John Ryder. Is that something that you've even considered at all?
Well, John Ryder, listen, he was the mandatory challenger last time we fought. We beat him. That's something that John Ryder now has to go away, have a fight, get back into that position again. But if there's nothing else available, I'm sure John Ryder is somebody, if he fights, has a good win and comes back again, as is always the normal. I'm not talking out anything out of turn. Once people have challenged for world titles, they'll go back, regroup and come back again. If he comes back again, yeah, sure, we'll fight John Ryder again. It's a good fight. But the fights for Callum are the no disrespect to John, the fighters with the belts, either at 168 or at 175. You
just mentioned, 168, the belt's obviously tied up. Might not get the Canelo fight. Canelo-Saunders might not be available. Is there a possibility again that this whole talk about Callum's promotional future may not lie with Matchroom and you may have to consider offers elsewhere again? Or
I don't know about that. That's something that Callum will have to think about, whether he's thought about it or not. No, like I say, we're just seeing Josh Taylor jump over across to Top Rank, and there's been no thoughts, no discussions, anything like that. Callum, we're just sitting and waiting for the Canelo. If we don't fight Canelo, I've said to Eddie Hearn, we want to be out in April, whether it's here or in America. I think it most possibly be in America, and that's what I want Callum Smith. I want him to be out in April. I want him then, if Canelo Billy Joe happens, most probably be in the window then for the Canelo fight in September, October time. But I need Callum Smith out April, and if not then April, then I'd like him out in the summer, then I'd like him out in the fall. So I'd like him out 3 times this year, and we've got to get going, get that momentum, get that buzz going again, and start making inroads.
Obviously, by all accounts, Canelo was offered that would be in America. Billy Joe Saunders seemingly the only fight realistically that may happen over here. Do you think we will basically see Callum's career heading stateside for the foreseeable future? Yeah,
definitely. I think that's where all the big fights are. That's where all the money is. That's where the DAZN money is, as Eddie says. So, yeah, I think we want to get over there. We need to move the needle. And he had an impressive performance over there in Madison Square Garden. He's obviously defended his titles here in Liverpool now. So Callum just wants to fight the big names, the big fights, but the possibility of them are very slim due to promotional and TV situations. So we'll just have to wait and see. But we'll sit down with Callum now. He's back in the gym next week, and we'll see which way, and hopefully we'll have news on what Canelo's doing. So you never know, Canelo might decide to fight Billy Joe and Callum this year. Billy Joe first, main Callum. So we'll just have to sit and wait. But in the meantime, I know Callum's always said he doesn't want to be sitting waiting on somebody. He wants to go and make his own career, and I think that's what he'll do. And if there's nothing at 168, we really do have to look at the situation at 175.
Well, Joe Gallagher, as always, it's been a pleasure. But final word to yourself ahead of your second show as M22 Promotions, or third. What would you like to say to everybody ahead of Sunday?
Yeah, no problem. Like I say, the tickets have gone well. It's got to be a good afternoon of boxing, getting early. And you're going to, thanks for the support for coming out, and for the press, the media, the lifestyle centre and the fighters on the show. It's got to be another excellent afternoon's worth of boxing, topped off with a real good domestic cruiserweight fight.
Joe Gallagher, as always, it's been a pleasure. I'll catch up with you soon. Thanks for speaking to myself from Boxing Social.
Cheers, Andy. Thank you.
Nice one. Cheers, Joe.
Cheers, thank you, mate. Cheers, thank you, mate.